So if you read my community post, you know I wasn't planning on doing a quote-unquote analysis video on the new Ruin teaser. And I still don't plan on it. Admittedly, I think speculating on plot points isn't useful in this case, what with the update due in about a month and change. But after thinking about it for a while, I realized that there is something I wanted to talk about in the Ruined trailer. The Ruined Animatronics themselves. Today I will be going over and discussing all of the Ruined Animatronics that have been confirmed, and kind of speculating, mostly just looking at what I see and saying whatever comes to mind. So, the Ruin teaser reveals that most of the animatronics are coming back, and that the map has now sort of been streamlined into a series of hallways and small rooms, meaning we'll likely get up close and personal with these animatronics, not just blaze past them at a 10-mile-an-hour sprint. It's sort of like they took a page from Bendy and the Dark Revival and angled it to be more like that game's layout, which explains having the tool to power up equipment. But, okay, the animatronics. Let's start with the least changed edition. The Glamrock Endos, or at least one, is returning. It looks the same as it did in Security Breach, so nothing big here. Now on to Ruined Chica. Ruined Chica is Chica, but with significant more damage, arguably, including a mostly missing left arm. Her walk cycle seems to be the same as Shattered Chica's was, and all things considered, I don't expect her to be very different from her. She's shown to be at a few different locations, including outside of her cupcake shop, so I'm gonna go out on a limb and say she might be a common enemy, unlike some of the later animatronics we will mention who appear in their specific areas. Or perhaps, since they had revealed her before on the poster, they felt a little more comfortable spoiling some of her sections. From the layout of the map, I would think it would make more sense to be like moving from sector to sector and encountering a new threat with each one. There is a scene later on in the trailer where Chica seems to be being carried away by a conveyor belt. It almost looks like she's in the lower hallway in the basement, right outside of the kitchen, but that could also maybe connect to a furnace? No, I'd say it's likely that conveyor belt shipping area that's near the kitchen. Does look like either us or something else takes Chica out of commission yet again. The second Ruined animatronic I want to discuss is good old Monty. He's looking extremely rough. Almost all his casing has pulled away to reveal nothing more than an endoskeleton remaining in its place, along with his eye and the remains of a mohawk, which is actually attached to a metal base sticking out of the top of his head, something I thought was pretty neat to notice. Still crawling around, Monty's aggression seems to have spiked, as we can see him trying to force his way through a gate jaw first, and we also see what looks to be a jump scare where the girl we play as, Cassie, tries to fight him off and fails. Monty seems to be a significant step up from Chica, even if he's not really stepping anywhere. I couldn't see if his crawling cycle was the same as Shattered Monty's, though. Okay, now Roxanne, which is, shockingly enough, the reason I made this video. It wasn't for the sun and the moon stuff, it was for her. So, most of Roxanne's face and exterior has worn away, revealing empty eye sockets and a mouth. She looks to be first encountered in the Glamrock Beauty Salon, as this cutscene kind of looks like the first time that our character is encountering her. There's also a cutscene towards the end of the trailer that shows Roxy grabbing her and her trying to fight her off. But unlike Monty, we don't see an actual jump scare, so it's unclear if this is in fact a death, or if it's just a proper cutscene that was cut off. What I find odd is that this withered endoskeleton of Roxy's doesn't match the endoskeleton exposed on Shattered Roxy. Maybe more of it wore away, but something just doesn't, match here. The metal jaw doesn't match her teeth, the ears look a little too long. It could be a stealthy redesign to make her look creepier, but if these are supposed to be the same Roxy, then what happened? Because that's not her. Part of the body also looks a little strange too. Is this like that Elvis Tiger thing? I know Elvis Tiger looks like this on the book cover, but often the illustrations do not match the actual characters in the book, such as in Bunny Call, where the design was of a toy when the character in the book is a guy in a suit, and the Bobby Dots, where they're described as sexy anime girls in gray pantsuits, one with big, personality traits, and on the book they look like sort of little alien robots. This kinda looks tigery. I know someone has probably already noticed this, but yeah, I'm late to the party yet again. For now, I'm going to lean more towards this being a redesign to make her creepier, and the changes to the endoskeleton are just something we're not supposed to notice. Alright, now let's get to who you're all here for, the daycare attendant. And yes, I might have inadvertently predicted this. The daycare attendant is totally busted. He's missing a pant leg, revealing the frame of his leg. In fact, it also reveals that he has a frame that keeps the poof out at the bottom of his pants. On the other side, his pants are pretty dirty, but they're also partially striped with blue splotches at the top and bottom. The fabric stuck between sun and moon's coloring. One eye is yellow, the other is red, one arm is yellow, one is blue. He has a set of teeth underneath his teeth, hello? So yeah, from the blending of colors presented to us to the fact that in a post Kellen Goff introduced them, almost as though they were a new character, I feel like this is the quote-unquote eclipse that I mentioned in a past video, though instead of it being the moon blocking out the sun, it almost looks like the design is suggesting that it's a half-and-half deal. Okay, that aside, there's been some speculation that the DA is friendly because it opens the doors before politely waving. But Moon too politely waved before football tackling Freddy and dragging him off into parts and service. I don't think this guarantees he's a good guy, though his pull back to wave is almost promising. We also right after get a scene of us walking through the daycare where we can see one of those control panel box things, and Cassie isn't running, so either the sun and moon are not threatening, or they're off in the tunnels lying in wait. If sun and moon are mixed, maybe they're aggressive like moon, but the outlet is through a game of tag or hide and seek, something sun would cook up. So I'm not going to necessarily say that they are harmless, but that could be what's going on here. I'm actually really happy to see this guy back, and also scared about what they plan on doing with him. It really feels like a monkey paw situation here. This could bring the whole Afton is possessing the sun and moon thing to reality, but also they're one of all of these animatronics returning. It doesn't look from the teaser like they're getting any special attention, so maybe they're just broken and not handling this whole thing well. You know, in hindsight, Sun and Moon really let themselves go. Everyone else was majorly broken because how they were shattered before. They had cracked casings from their decommissioning, making sense for how they would deteriorate. But the daycare attendant? They don't look like they got dirty and worn down. They look like they threw themselves into a trash compactor during a scuffle on who got to be in charge while they wiped themselves down with the last remaining baby wipe. In fact, what the hell happened to this place? Unless this is like 50 years later, why does it look like this? It's like a bomb got dropped on it. This doesn't look like a closed mall. This looks like a set from 9, the post-apocalyptic ragdoll movie. And considering there looks to be a building directly outside, maybe it has been a while. But then how is some kid Gregory knows getting in here? Maybe she's a ghost. Maybe that's why she jumps around like Iron Man. My point is, for being the caretaker of the daycare, Sun and Moon are looking pretty messed up. In fact, they look just as broken as the others. That's odd to me. Also, Freddy's here. Located in a section of Phaser Blast and lying on top of a staff bot, there's Glamrock Freddy, looking disturbingly enough to be in his shattered model. As we pass by him, he seems to lift a beam off of himself and start coming to life. With the ending of Security Breach being up in the air, him being here would seem to suggest that the disassembled Vanny ending was canon. Unless Freddy doesn't have a head. I think I saw a head, but if there isn't a head, then Saved Vanny is canon. And if there isn't a head, Ruined Freddy just became the scariest animatronic of all time. There is just something about a headless Freddy chasing you around that is so undeniably creepy to me. Okay, so I'm glad Shattered Freddy might be returning, but this isn't like a victory. This isn't Steelwool adding back in all the cut content, not in the slightest. If you've seen my Shattered Freddy video, I talked a lot about the nuance and build-up, the story ramifications, and the change of gameplay that would have made him so cool. Would have made the story of Security Breach have some sort of a real emotional payoff to it, or anything that wasn't just serviceable. Having him just dropped into the DLC and chase you around, it's a good way to look at the model, but I can tell you now, it's not going to be anywhere near as impactful as it could have been. They didn't add Shattered Freddy back into the game. They reused assets that they were making for a section of the game for new means, and for that, I'm not going to act like I'm even vaguely impressed. Unless he doesn't have a head, in which case I might be able to give you a point on that front. For now, Shattered Freddy is pretty much about as jaw-dropping as Ruined Chica having what looks to be Shattered Chica's exact walk cycle. The final confirmed animatronic, kind of, maybe, looks to be some sort of busted-up rabbit-looking thing. I'm guessing this is Glamrock Bonnie. Funny enough, I predicted the withered face thing because it looks like Bon Bon's missing his face, but has a remaining eye. His arm looks sort of funny, and the hand I can't make much sense of. In fact, it kind of looks like Mangled's hand. It almost looks like... It's hard to make out, but I think what's going on here is that Glamrock Bonnie is sort of a mix of Mangled and Withered Bonnie's designs. A bud of mine mentioned that this sort of resembles the Rabbit Amalgam, and you know what? Maybe it is. It appears after Cassie puts on the Vanny mask from Help Wanted, or that the princess from Princess Quest, at one time named Cassidy in the files, grabs. Maybe this threatening beast only attacks once you have the mask on. But I think more than likely this is just Glamrock Bonnie running around somewhere. Which baffles me. How did he hold out for this long? Look at the sun! Look at the sun! Bonnie's been out of commission way longer than he has. Unless this is a surprise prequel somehow. Don't ask how, it's overly complicated to explain and it's not great. Now, there is someone left. Unless they got cut in development, old Red Eyes on the Ruin poster isn't amongst these animatronics. I mean, perhaps it could still be Sun and Moon after maybe the moon takes over the body fully, but still, this leaves maybe the Blob, and with all these guys running around, yeah, it's exceedingly likely that the Blob will show up. No sign of Music Man, but we can only hope. But only time will tell. We have until July, and while I think this is pretty soon after the game apparently left alpha, especially since Steelwool is split into working on both Hello Neighbor 2's Broken DLC and Hello Neighbor Search and Rescue, I think they would have to be pretty incompetent to fail walking around hallways when they manage to somewhat do that in Help Wanted. Again, time will tell, but for now, thank you for watching.